Have you ever fought with your mother about something, totally knowing that you're right to fight about this, that whatever you're saying is in alignment with what you really think and what you really feel and your values, and yet it feels awful and terrible? Like something in you wants to just like hurt this person, and something in you absolutely will not let you do that, because this person is the source of nourishment in your life, the first source of nourishment in your life, and there is something in you that is straining against the puncturing of that fantasy that they are just nourishing, or they're only nourishing, that there is nothing destructive about them, that there is nothing harmful about them. I mean, our mothers are real people, so they're full of good things and bad things like us. But there is a way in which all of us carry this need for our mothers, our mother figures, or any source of nourishment in our lives to simply stay that source of nourishment and not be other things as well. And so when you're fighting with your mother, there's also that internal conflict inside of you where on the one hand, you're allowing yourself to experience the reality of their wholeness at the level of action and relationship, and on the other, something in you absolutely does not want that reality because they're engaged in another fantasy of wholeness where you and mother are just one, swimming together in eternal love and care and safety. You don't want to disturb that, and yet this reality of wholeness, that there are many things, is pressing. Both of these things collide, and so you're fighting, but you're also really fighting with yourself. Yeah? This is where Mars is currently. Mars is in Cancer. It's the realm of the mother. So Mars, this warrior, this aggressive energy is in the realm of this nourishment where it wants to fight the mother and also it doesn't. What we're going to do, I should have said that in the beginning. What we're going to do here is we're going to work through the symbols of the eclipse tonight. So that's what we're doing. Yeah, we have a new moon in Libra tonight, which is also a solar eclipse, and I'm starting with Mars to help us track the significations of this astrology. Right, so Mars is in the realm of the mother and doesn't want to fight the mother, but also kind of feels the pressing need to become its own person. I am not you. You are all of these things, not just nourishment, and I need some distance from you, and also I need to call you out for the ways in which you're doing XYZ. All of that Mars is dealing with right now. Now, Mars could be channeled better in Cancer if it's, instead of fighting the mother, it's given the task of protecting the mother. Fight for the mother, not fight the mother. That way Mars can become much more productive in Cancer. And you'll see this with Mars in Cancer individuals, where the mother becomes such an over-idealized, over-sacralized object. No one is allowed to say anything about the mother, while inside the individual is seething with all of that aggression. But it's kept in check by this task of protecting the mother, both from others and from themselves. So even if you want to make Mars in Cancer productive by giving it the task of protection, be mindful of the shadows here. This Mars is ruling the realm of Aries, where the North Node is, and the realm of Scorpio, where Venus is. The new moon in Libra is ruled by Venus. So Venus is in Scorpio and the north node, which is opposing the new moon, is in Aries. So in both of these realms, this Martian conflict between mother, sources of nourishment, with whom we want to be merged and with whom we want to be deeply identified, and then the tension of the imperfect mother, the toxic mother, the overbearing mother, or even just like the normal mother, the ordinary human mother. This conflict is playing out deeply in the realms of Aries and Scorpio. We're going to talk about Scorpio right now because Venus is there. Venus, the host of the eclipse tonight. So what's happening here is that Venus in Scorpio is very enamored of the lower self. There's a haze of enchantment around things like greed and lust and pride. It all looks really attractive and pleasurable and pleasure-filled. So you might find at this time that attachments that you thought you had exhausted, that you thought you had detached from, are sort of coming back, and they're still looking as enchanting as before, and so you might start second guessing your healing. I thought I'd exhausted this. And so with connecting this to what we discussed with Mars right now, the toxic hold of the mother, like I'm safe and I'm sound and I'm nourished and there is someone else who takes care of me, and those fantasies are very highlighted and they feel very attractive to us right now. So one thing to be cautious about during this astrology is not substitute one mother for another. Right? So my mommy toxic and my mommy I'm going to separate from, but then I end up getting into a relationship where I have another mommy who's toxic in a different way, and I think, oh, I've done it, I've separated, but I haven't. So cautious about that. With Venus in Scorpio, Venus being the host of tonight's eclipse, while one relationship might be going down, one relationship with the source of nourishment might be going down, we might be getting into another, or we might be amplifying or deepening another where similar dynamics are playing out but in a different form, and so we think there's no problem here. So Mars ruling Aries and Scorpio, Scorpio where Venus is, Venus who is the host of Libra. And so what's happening in Libra tonight? The sun and the moon joined in a conjunction so that the moon is not going to receive the light of the sun, or at least we are not going to see it. It's so close to the sun. And then the moon blocking the sun from our view. So in some sense, like the moon and the sun are both so allied, so close to each other that we can't see either. They sort of just merge into one another and disappear, like death. Like if everything was merged into each other, it wouldn't make sense to call it everything, because everything is defined against something. So if everything is merged into each other, what we have is actually nothingness, not everythingness. So there is that moment of nothingness that is arriving for us, and this sudden like sense of whoa, like there's nothing, this emptiness. It's happening in the realm of Libra. This realm, the values here are balance, fairness, justice, sovereignty. Sovereignty in relationships, balanced relationships. All of this is Libra. So with the nothingness happening here, this is where our heartbreak is. That, where is balance in my relationships, or why is it that I just cannot figure this particular relationship out? It's like either I merge into this person and there's nothing, or I separate and then I feel all of this anguish. So where's the balance here? That's where the heartbreak is around this eclipse. But that's also where the potential is, because where there is nothingness, there is that recognition of our true nature. Yeah? It is that infusion of nothingness in our dense everyday world that will suddenly wake us up to the false emptiness around us. That is real emptiness, like we're all one. And then there is the false emptiness. Oh, why am I not getting the thing I want? I feel so bad. I feel so terrible. When is it ever going to change? That's false emptiness. The real emptiness is the truth that we're all one. It's all nothing, right? I hope you're with me so far, okay? I know we're tracking a lot of complex symbols and dancing from one end to the other, but hope you're with me. Yeah, okay. So nothingness is where the heartbreak is, and nothingness is also where the potential is. And so how do we describe that potential in our human everyday terms? The opportunity that this new moon gives to us, and we'll see that opportunity play out over the next 6 months, is for us to come up with models of balance and fairness in relationships that are ours, that are not inherited, that do not belong to the mother, that do not belong to the mother culture that has nourished us or that has created us, but very individuated models of balance and relational fairness that work for us. For example, let's say that your roommate says to you that they hate doing the housework. And that's not good, because what does that mean? Are you supposed to do all of that? Like, isn't this a shared space and you can't leave and you can't stay because you are in a lease, or maybe you love each other, they're a great roommate, you're great friends, but this is a real problem. We tend to tell our loved ones, tell me whatever's on your mind, tell me what you really feel, but when they actually do, we often have very negative reaction to them. What do you mean you don't want to do housework? Yeah. So, on the surface level, not fair. But you can go deeper with this eclipse and say, okay, you don't like doing housework. What's the principle that we're going to, anchor ourselves in? The principle is division of labor, equal distribution of energy, but we don't need to be wedded to a particular form of that division of labor. So, okay, you don't like doing housework. Can you pay me for it? Like, we'll be roommates, but you can pay me to clean the place. Or can you buy me tools that make it really easy for me to clean the space and maybe even make it pleasurable for me? Like, can you buy me a vacuum cleaner, swanky vacuum cleaner? Or, can you take care of the electricity every month? Like, we won't share that. You take care of electricity, I take care of cleaning. We'll come up with our own model of balance that is in alignment with who we are individually. What can happen with relationships is that we are unconsciously just wedded to certain models of balance that actually create a lot of imbalance in our bodies. Like what I was describing with Mars and Cancer in the beginning, where you are protecting the mother. That way you're keeping everything in balance, but actually it is a state of deep denial, deep avoidance. So things can look all good and balanced on the surface, but inside it could be killing you, it could be eating you up. And this is astrology that will bring all of that to the surface. Models of balance that you've bought into, models of balance that you sustain by giving up your own sense of what is okay and what is not okay, by giving up your own peace of mind. So this is a time where some of that will come to the surface, or has already come to the surface, or will be coming to the surface in the next couple of weeks. That feels disorienting. But it's also an opportunity. This moment of nothingness, this moment of conflict, this moment of tension, these are also opportunities for us to figure out, okay, I want to stay in this relationship, but also I want to individuate. I also want to separate. And I don't need to pick one over the other. I need to integrate both of those instincts. Like the fantasy that my mother will take care of me is actually deeply nourishing. Because if I have that fantasy in place, then I can continue living through my life, my struggles, with that hope in mind that, no, like, I will find nourishment, you know. But if I trap a person in that fantasy, you must nourish me 24/7, that is going to be destructive. So it's not the fantasy that is bad. It is not the fantasy that is toxic. It's what we do with it, how we live with it. Yeah? So just like that, merging with another person, be deeply meaningful and fulfilling. Love, longing, all of that can be absolutely divine. Separation can also be very divine. Individuation can be absolutely profound. And it makes sense that we want both. And this is the time to figure out what that looks like for us. And it is, for some or the other reason, it is going to feel really painful to come to this knowledge that, first of all, we want both, and that currently both are not getting accommodated in one relationship of ours, or just in our life in general. But stay with that pain and know that there is a lot of creative potential here to then move your relationships towards a balance that makes sense to you and the other person, to both of you as individuals. All right, guys.